my New Year's resolution, and this is I have multiple, but this is like my biggest pet peeve. Stop it with the fucking unalived bullshit. Stop with this fucking language that no one else uses. Whether it's unalive, whether it's any of it, just stop.
Pew
pew. You sound like a fucking
God.
dumbass. You sound like you sound like the caricature that like normal people and conservatives have of us in their mind, where like we're just fucking brain rotted by social media and afraid to like the snowflake generation. You know, leave that stuff in 2024. Let's talk like normal ass people again. Let's talk like we're sitting watching a football game while we're on fucking line. Like that's what I want us to start doing, and I think it would actually have an impact.
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, I think that's good. I mean, obviously, we know the reason that so many people started doing that was anytime you said one word wrong, it seemed like TikTok especially would take your content down. And so a lot of people just started assuming that every word this and that was the wrong word or the trigger word for the AI content moderation. And I'm sure some of them were. I always tried to just form my sentence to convey the exact same meaning without using the word if I felt that way. And lately I've just been laying it on. Like I've been saying rape and Nazi and kill and murder and everything like as I would say in a normal conversation. And so far so good. It's not, I haven't gotten the new community guideline strikes in the past few weeks. So I'm hoping that we're past that point in content moderation and we can move on, because I fucking hate that shit too, just like you.
Listen, Dr. Wagon, like John's like, I complain about this all the time. I love this so much, John. I always complain about this and I fucking despise it because listen, I think that if you're going to talk about topics as serious as sexual assault, it deserves to be mentioned.
Yes.
Like, I am not going to get on in front of a camera and say, well, I'm going to be covering this instance where a young woman got raped. Fuck you. Not going to happen. All right. I'm not going to, that is that she didn't get
this
raped.
Was a white kids
raped.
you know bit back in my day.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not the way serious people talk.
Right. Exactly. It sounds childish. I mean, childish and demeaning. And look, I heard the same thing too. After people says, well, you don't understand. I said this word and my video was, throttled. It only got 150 views or something like that. And listen, all I can say is I haven't noticed that. I haven't. I have
evidence, bro. I've tested this out. It doesn't.
Yes, I have a video with like 500,000 views where I say rape 3 times and sexual assault more than that, and it's perfectly fine. Now, I have had now if you say a bunch of them, if you say like a bunch of these words, yeah, that's probably gonna but you can say it a couple times and it'll be okay, it'll be fine. Maybe your content just sucks. Maybe that's it, people. I know it's hard to believe, but it does happen. Good.
So, I wanna say that I think that there's probably some more validity to it than you're giving. Just I don't think, again, going back to content moderation is not applied evenly. And I'm not talking if my video gets a lot of views or no views at all. I don't attribute that to specific words I used within the video. But if a video gets taken down or gets stuck in processing, that's always what makes me a little bit more wishy-washy on what's the cause. And going back to the testing theory, last year I did a video on Jill Stein. And I mentioned something about her being gay, and this was for when gay talking about the LGBTQ community seemed to be the trigger word for the community guidelines. It got stuck in processing for 2 days. I took the video down, I edited it out, and I cut the word gay in half in like a splice edit and posted it again, and the video went through. And so it's stuff like that that makes me wonder, like, yeah, I do believe that there's some validity. I think people go way the fuck overboard with it, but we never know because there's no transparency with the community guidelines where we know what they're doing and not doing. And people are genuinely worried about if I say the wrong thing and my video gets taken down, I could lose my entire account, and that's my livelihood.
Yeah.
And so, like, I have a lot of empathy for the people who do it that way. Again, I try to choose to do it in a different way because I'm not going to say unalive or graping. But if I'm saying sexual assault,
kill myself.
Yeah.
And also,
like that, I'll be like assaulting women or something.
Yes,
where
that's. Of course, like that's well, real quick before I meant that, because like I was talking about like how you can say it, because there are ways to do it without sounding like a 3-year-old. Is that there are things I have noticed that will get saying Hitler will get my videos taken down every time. Like if I mention Hitler at all,
I say it all the time.
Oh, so yeah, if I say it, like I've had multiple videos where I did the same thing where I took out the word and it was fine. If I talk about the Ku Klux Klan, those videos are always like in war authority being taken down. But I found, like you said, find clever ways to say it that outside of unalive. Like you could say passed away. You could say, you could say like shuffled off this mortal coil if you want to get poetic about it. There's a lot of ways you can say this stuff without saying pew pew. It's just ridiculous. Firearm works fine. Anyway, but yeah, that's a good one.
TJ, I just want to add, I agree with you off to wagon. I'm not just talking about content though. I've heard people say these words in real life. Like oh yeah. See, you guys if you guys went to college at the time I did, you would have heard these words constantly.
That's bad.
Like, no. Yeah, essay, like you just say essay. If you say unalive, you say, and people still, say whatever words they want. But if you were in like a more formal setting, or especially a left-wing space, you would hear it constantly. It was fucking disgusting.
Wow. Well,
I'll punch people at that point.
Well,
see, you say unalive to me in real life, like unironically, yeah, I'm right to the
well, this makes it a lot trickier now because that's how I feel, but I've seen this so many times over the years. I remember when people started saying LOL in public or OMG in public, stuff that you never said out loud, you only typed, and now they say it a lot. And this happens all the time. The word bae made people really angry for a long time, and now it's just something people say. 10 years from now, unalive just might be part of standard lexicon. There's nothing weird about it at all. And I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, this isn't how the way I said it growing up, and it might be, but
old man, fuck it. I'll if you say LOL or OMG in real life, I'll still be that grumpy old fucking man. Get that off I ain't listening to this bullshit.
You have to at least do it with a sense of palpable irony. Like you have to be joking with your OMG. Like it has to be a caricature.
It's a joke until it's not, right? I'm sure this has happened to you guys where you started saying things like jokey and ironically, and now you just say it. I said fam that way for a long time. Like when people first started saying fam instead of joke, now I say fam all the time. No irony whatsoever. So I just think back, I'm not going to do this again, but I think back to this essay I saw by, I think it was Jonathan Swift or Alexander Pope, one of the two, from like the 1600s or whatever. And it's this long screed where he is enraged at the fact that young people are saying beloved and not beloved. He says, no, it's beloved. Beloved is a ridiculous way to say it. This is the downfall of our language. I'll not stand for this shit. Hilarious to look at, in modern times. But I'm that person too in a lot of ways. Like as funny as it is, I'm that person too.
I think it's just part of aging. Like, and I'll embrace that part of being a grumpy, crabby old man. Like that's the worst our generation gets about shitting on younger generations. We're doing pretty fucking good. As long as we don't like completely tank the housing market and the economy and destroy the planet. I think they can give us the giving a bit about saying lit and shit like that or whatever they say nowadays.
And not to belabor the point, but what we're saying about like unalive is not just old man yells at clouds. It's what TJ said. It's that it takes away gravity from the very serious words that we're saying. And that's the part that we need to leave in 2024. Anyway, TJ, what are you leaving in 2024?
All right. So in 2024, 2025, I have decided that my first New Year's resolution is that I am never going to trust another seltzer poll. Do you guys remember the fucking seltzer poll that came out 3 or 4 days before the election? It's like, oh my God, we got Kamala Harris up by 7 points in Iowa or something like that. And if this poll is even, 50% accurate, she's going to run away with this. I heard about this goddamn seltzer poll for a week straight. Completely not, and she retired, so I guess I don't have to worry about listening to seltzer poll anymore. But polling in general to honestly take it more seriously than I was, because I swore I would never make this mistake, but I remember in 2012 the Republicans, like, it's eerie to me, the similarities between 2012 and 2024, in that I remember Republican media saying the exact same shit that lefty media has been saying the last 6 months or whatever. It's like, these polls are all wrong. These polls say that Trump is tied or winning, and our gut feeling is saying these polls are off, and like these other indicators are showing. No, it turns out the polls were mostly accurate, that it was a fairly, close, like, for the states, but Trump had an edge. And it's like, yeah, I'm gonna stop looking at things through rose-colored glasses, because I was way off on this one. So that's mine right there. Kind of a jokey, but true.
Yeah, I think that's funny, because I still see people doing that. Like, I just did a video the other day about the certification, and how I'm like just so fucking frustrated that they just handed them the keys to the castle with a handshake that they wouldn't even give Kamala back. And I'm like, why didn't you throw a scene? Fucking, you got no repercussions at this point. Make a fucking scene. Go.
Yep.
Make it last 2 fucking hours of uncomfortable talking about how it should be, the 14th Amendment should be imposed. Like, do something. Like, I understood that it wasn't going to change the outcome of that day, but do something, like anything at all. And I had a bunch of people, I think they're just assembling evidence and just wait for the dust to come.
That's sad.
It's fucking settled. They've had 8 fucking years to assemble evidence of his election or his campaign interference and all of this. He committed a fucking insurrection 4 years ago. If they haven't done it by now, they're not going to do it. Are you still waiting for Merrick Garland to get confirmed to the Senate? Or are we just waiting for the dust to settle there too? Like, where the fuck, what have these people ever done to give you the impression that they're going to come in at the last minute and, play hardball and save the day? Because they've never done it, ever. The rose-colored glasses the Democrat Party wears hard.
That made me think of another New Year's resolution, and this is going to be controversial. This is going to be controversial. There's going to be people who aren't going to be happy with this. 2025, we need to shut the fuck up about January 6th. It is,
you might as well,
annoying to me at this point when I hear about it, because there's nothing that, like, the liberal fucking establishment Democrats love talking about more than January 6th. They love clutching those pearls so much they're going to get fucking arthritis. But the thing is, as you alluded to there, we didn't do shit about it.
Nope.
It's honestly a thing they're just complaining about. They could have done shit about it. They didn't do it. And it just pisses me off now. Because it's like, like that, we're past that. We lost that battle because we didn't fight it. So, like, stop fucking complaining about it. It's okay now, I guess.
Yeah, I 100% agree, because January 6th is such a weird time too, because, like, if I know you guys know this, but January 7th, Republicans were shitting themselves. Republicans said that every Republican commentators, Fox News folks, people on the right side of the aisle in Congress and in the Senate, they were panicking. They were gladly ready to impeach Donald Trump. And then over the next week, they realized, actually, the voters love this. So they embraced it. And then when it came to punishing Trump, it was this slow drip of shit that no one really had the guts to commit to it. And Trump said, all right, if you're not going to go for it, I am. They banked on, and listen, it was a bad move, but I can see what they were saying here is that they didn't want to make things like start an incident or something by arresting Trump. But, they have no balls. But they said, surely this will be enough. Surely everything they see, surely the January 6th stuff will scare the American people into never backing this guy. It didn't work. So since that was those are the cards you played, you got to deal with the results. And the results are the people didn't care about January 6th nearly as much as the Democrats thought they would, or, legacy media or whatever. So there's really no point in talking about it anymore. There really isn't. It's done. It's over. And it got us nowhere.
I want to address one point that Huge Ass here in the comments brought up is if Democrats refuse to certify, that would make our complaints about J6 hypocritical, and that is fucking bullshit. And people need to stop coming up with this this argument, because we didn't run an insurrectionist. Like, it was a free and fair election with a completely legitimate candidate. The 14th Amendment exists. There's nothing in it that says a person has to be convicted of insurrection. It just says they have to commit an insurrection, and they are not fit to serve in public office. So if they refuse to certify, they would have been doing this on grounds that are constitutional, and they wouldn't have been overthrowing the Capitol and shitting on Nancy Pelosi's desk and whatever else. They would have been doing something as Congress. It's their job to vote to do these things. Like that is their power, not us as regular citizens to overrun the Capitol. That was them alone. That would have not been hypocritical at all. That would have been them doing their job with the way that they interpret the Constitution, which is at least in some ways a perfectly legitimate way to interpret the Constitution. It wouldn't have stopped the certification from happening, but it would have been a protest that would have said, hey, we're willing to continue this fight, and we're not just going to take this all laying down. And that was what we were hoping for. Something.
Other New Year's resolution: recognize that hypocrisy is meaningless.
It is.
I get it. I don't want to be a hypocrite, but you know what? If it's going to accomplish the goals that I need to accomplish, if it's going to save people's lives, if it's going to materially change the fucking livelihoods of American citizens, go ahead and be a fucking hypocrite. I don't give a shit. They wouldn't, because I guarantee you, Mitch McConnell would have invoked the 14th Amendment 1,000 times. If he had the ground to do so, he would have done it. And you know how I know that they would do this and they wouldn't care? Because when Mitch McConnell wanted to delay a Supreme Court justice taking office, he said we should let the American people decide with the election. And then when he wanted to get a Supreme Court justice in, he said, well, fuck the American people. I don't give a shit. That's the people we're playing against. This is not like, hey, who can be right the loudest? This is who can materially change Americans' lives for the better. I don't really give a shit. If we can prevent them from winning in any way, shape, or form, we should do so, because that's the rules of the game that our opponents are playing. They're doing it. So, like, if they weren't doing it, I'd be like, you know what? We'll be good sports. They haven't been good sports. They won't even claim they're good sports. They're not trying to. They don't. They literally say the literal justification that Republicans gave for that from Mitch McConnell was, "We have the power to do it. Fuck you." That's it. That's their entire belief system. You can't fight that without. Like, if you need to use hypocrisy to fight that, go use it. I don't give a shit. No one's gonna care.
John, my second resolution, I had it written down here, or you can't see it, but the second resolution I wrote was start lying a lot more. That was honestly, it's right there. That was because it works. It fucking works. There's no, I don't see an incentive to play, like John said, play by the rules when the other side doesn't. That's just like you're signing your own death warrant. There's no reason for it. Like, oh, we mentioned before with Trump and his ridiculous, Gulf of United States thing and buying Greenland and stuff. I saw, I can't remember the senator, a Republican senator, I think it was Rand Paul, but he said that, oh, Trump wants to rename the Gulf of Mexico and he wants to make Canada the 51st state. I can't wait to see liberals' head explode. That's it. That is all they're operating on. Like, it is not about anything good that's being done, any solving any problems or making people's lives better. It's just spite. So, like, if those are the people say what?
Owning the libs. They exist to own the libs. But hey, on the bright side, all of the new lying that you want to do, there's no fact checkers anymore on Facebook for you to spread that information. So.
I will also say about the lying thing, if they were afraid of lying because, like, they were, morally against telling a lie, that would be one thing. But they're not. They're just against telling certain lies, because they lie to us all the fucking time. They lie to us about Gaza constantly. They lie to us about what our fucking police do. They lie to us about what our fucking military does. They lie to us about fucking climate change. They lie to us. They're fucking signing on to the Lincoln Riley Act. They're saying immigrants pose a threat to our American society. That's a fucking lie, and they know it. If they were consistent with the no lying thing, I could at least respect it. But if you're only going to lie when it benefits you, but not when it benefits the American people, well, go fuck yourself. You might as well just lie all the time then.
True. All right. Off to Wagon. Did we hear your New Year's resolution? I don't think we got yours yet.
No. And, I hadn't really spent, I looked up your list here, like, right before I got on. So I didn't spend a ton of time thinking about it. But I have, what I've done since the election is, previous to this, especially in the way that I interact with conservatives in the world and even in my content, is I tried to avoid making sweeping generalizations and just because they always call us, like, pedophiles and groomers and shit because you're a liberal and you support, trans people existing and breathing air and stuff. And so therefore you clearly are a pedophile. And then I'm like, you guys voted for a pedophile and were perfectly okay with Matt Gaetz, a person who has been caught sex trafficking children, being attorney general and shit. And I've taken down that righteousness and trying to, play a fair game and giving a shit about making them feel like there is a side for them to come to. It's like, no, if this is who you are, I will call you a pedophile and a child groomer and a racist. And like, to your face, you specifically are this now, and all of the people who did this because of the decisions you made. I give zero fucks, and because that's the game that they play with us, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like, if you don't touch children, you support people who do. So therefore, you're the same boat as them, and that's the way you've treated us all this time. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander, I guess.
On day number 1 of the Trump presidency, I don't even want to wait till the afternoon. I want the morning of day 1. I guess it's in the middle of the day. So
yeah.
No more than 1 hour after inauguration, I need a cavalcade of fucking Democrats and every media pundit on the left side of the aisle to be calling for Donald Trump to release the Epstein list. Because why the fuck not, bro? Why the fuck not? Yeah. You guys been complaining about this for fucking years. Mm-hmm. Here's your chance. Yep. Hold your guy accountable.
Donald Trump said he didn't want to release it, at least not the whole thing. He said because there's some names on there that it might ruin some people's lives or careers that might not have had anything to do with. Like you're talking about yourself. Clearly, very clearly talking about yourself here. It was a Katie Couric or 60 Minutes interview. I don't know. It was a year or so ago that I remember seeing this. And I'm like, he fumbled that question so hard. I'm like,
I hate to break it to you. This was like 4 months ago. Like this was not.
Yeah, it was on a Fox News. Yeah,
we feels like a year ago.
Yeah. Because the funny thing is about that interview, they asked him. They said, "Hey, would you release the Kennedy, investigation, 9/11 investigation? Would you release all the Epstein files?" He goes, "Yeah." Well, he said, "Yeah." Well, most of it, because, a lot of that stuff might not be true. There might be some people who might get caught up in there. I was like, buddy, that is the worst answer. Like, just lie at that point. I mean, of all times he didn't lie. That was a weird time to be like, yeah, well, maybe not. I'm not so sure. I don't want them to hold me to that. But you're right, John. I love this. Just stick it to them. Just say, yeah, I want all the Epstein information released. Why don't you? Well, what? I mean, it's not going to work. He's not going to work. But I actually do want it released.
Once again, you either want the Epstein files released or you're a pedophile. Just right with the same shit. You're clearly a pedophile. You don't want the Epstein files. You're clearly your name's on it, or you're defending somebody who's on it, and you're either a pedophile or you're supporting a pedophile, which makes you a pedophile. You're a pedophile. Just start calling them pedophiles.
Right. I think the best way to go about it would be like, well, why isn't Trump doing it? To give me one good fucking reason why Trump is not doing this. Like, he's the guy you say he is. He's the one wearing the white hat and rescuing the women and children. Like, tell me why he's dragging his feet on this. He's been in office 5 hours already. He could have done it an hour ago. Why isn't he doing it? It's an unlosable argument. So of course, every Democrat in Congress should be saying this. You're right. Every day, every fucking day.
Why is the war in Russia still going? He told us the day after he got elected, it would take him one day to end the war in Ukraine. Why is that still going on? Why do Democrats not bring this shit up? Like, why was that not in his face constantly?
It's I don't know. It is obnoxious. I fucking hate it. But, all right. Any more? Those are the only two I had. But
let's wrap it up.
Let's do it, folks.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. It has been an excellent return here in 2025, and I hope you take our New Year's resolution seriously. If you want to hear from an awesome content creator that you haven't heard of before, our guest, Off Jawagon, how can people find you?
It's just OFF_JAWAGGON on pretty much all the platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, although I don't get paid for this except for video views and some other stuff. So if you follow me on TikTok or YouTube, I do get paid for you watching that content. So I always appreciate that there. But obviously, you listen to the content. That's why we do what we do. So if Instagram's where you consume, I appreciate that too. I've got a website, offthewagon.com, where you can get merch, and we've got a podcast as well that John's been on. Hopefully we can get TJ and John on there together soon, or maybe just TJ by himself so he can have a little bit of the spotlight to himself. But that's the Let Them Eat Toast podcast. That's every week on Tuesday. You can get that wherever you get your podcasts or on my YouTube channel in video form like this as well. So yeah, check me out if you like what I have to say here.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Off the Wagon. Would love to be on your podcast sometime. Sorry I couldn't make it the last show. But yeah, folks, thanks for watching the show. We appreciate you checking in on John reminded me the first episode of the year for the Left Wing. And stay tuned for the next 12 months. We guarantee you will be seeing a whole lot more hypocrisy, lying, insults, and casual use of violent language. We got that for you all 12 months of 2025. You heard it here first. Catch you later, folks. All right. Good stuff.